Hello there, great person, and welcome back to Let's Watch Some Orb, the movements of the earth, and also meaning blood, knowledge, and some other stuff that people have told me about. So thank you a lot for the clarification of the series' name. I really enjoyed last time. Perhaps I did talk too much, perhaps not. I don't really know, but it was hell of a lot of fun. I will continue today, of course, with episode 2, which is called Heretic. Deathly knowledge about the movement of the earth. And I'm sorry, I always have to translate the German Netflix titles because I have Netflix in German, obviously. And yeah, so some people said they were in Poland, I think, so that's cool. I am not sure if this show is set in a real historical setting or if it's pseudo-historical setting, because the first thing I mostly do with these shows, like if I watch another one, a new one, is that I see, like, is this very realistic? Is this realistic, reality-based, but it's fantasy a bit? And this feels like there are a lot of ideas from history, but they are a bit tropified and exaggerated, but not in a bad way. It's just that so that ideas from history are condensed a bit, and that's how I see the show. So just for people watching and being like, yeah, but this is historically inaccurate and all of that, probably, yes. That was my daughter, if you heard her, I don't know. And yeah, we will now continue this brilliant story. I will continue to give you some insight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, as I said, check out my web novel. It's still ongoing. We're at chapter probably like 20, by the way. By the time you watch this, would love you to check it out. Perhaps give me some comments, feedback, whatever. And that was all the shameless safe plugging I wanted to do. Let's start this and have some fun with it.
Doch ich frag mich, wer wir sind.
So yeah, also something I wanted to clarify, I don't know if that was clear last time. Obviously, seeing that the Earth could be the center, could not be the center, but the Sun could be the center of the solar system, that is really genius. Like, that's a big step. And just from nowadays, it's not like in hindsight, it is still really awesome and brilliant. It is just that it's not particularly the core of the idea here. But anyway, we will start. Yeah. Also some I will just address the comment as well. Like, we had the comment of which is, I get that point, Occam's razor, something simple is probably the obvious solution, paraphrasing, but that's not what beauty is in science. Like, if you say that in science beauty is a simple solution in an elegant way, then yes, I would probably agree somewhat, but it doesn't mean that simple is like that the simple things always are the best ones, and sometimes they are too simple. You can oversimplify stuff. So Occam's razor is more like, if you've got two competing hypotheses, the one that is easier is the one you should first focus on. Basically, that's what it means. It doesn't mean that you always take the easiest thing, because sometimes it doesn't work. Because you could also argue seeing the Earth as something flat is, from your everyday perspective, the easiest thing to say. You don't care about the stars really, how they move and how the starry sky looks and stuff, so don't know. So what's he gonna say about that? Let's see why he thinks it's wrong. In science, you would always say, okay, I will accept this as correct if you can show X, and I will put away with my hypotheses if you do Y. So I do think that's a good approach to thinking about something from a new perspective in general. Like, if you have your perspective, you should always think about when you would dispose of that perspective. Like, what would have to be shown to disregard it? And if you say nothing, then you probably are too far into it. It's like, that's a good sign to perhaps be thinking too much in one direction, perhaps. So what he should do here is, can you give evidence that works better than what we have now? And the evidence here was like, you don't have to draw all the weird cycles. That's okay, but I would also be like, yeah, I don't know. So let's see, he's 12. Okay, brilliant. Let's fucking go. 3 reasons.
例えば地球が動いているなら
Yes.
同じ位置に着地するんです。
That's an awesome point. That's a very good point. By the way, you don't because you're in the same system. Like, you move the same way the surface of the Earth moves. Even if you jump up, the thing you experience force-wise is exactly the same. Because even like if you jump up, like the air is moving at the same speed, you are moving at the same speed and the ground. It's like when you are in a train and you drop a ball, it will just fall down even if you move on a train. Perhaps they will do that with a cart. Like if you drop something on a horse cart to the bottom of the horse cart, it will just fall down even if you move. So that would be an easy counter to this. So
2つ目
let's counter the second one. Yeah.
誰が支持するんです。 地球があるのは
It doesn't matter who supports it. Like, even if I had a maths teacher, he had this saying and I loved it. The saying was, if 1,000 people do something stupid, it's still something stupid. So if you support it, like, it doesn't matter if you support it. If the evidence proves it or not proves it, if the evidence shows that it's the better idea and model, you have to take it as a scientist. Like, no case around that.
この星を特別にしてくださったからだ。
Yeah.
するのはやばすぎる。
That is also an interesting thing, though, and it is so funny, this idea that the humans are so special in the universe. And we find that in one of the solutions of the Fermi paradox, that we're just the only people in the universe. It's so fascinating. Many people do away with that because why would humans be special? Why should consciousness have developed only on Earth? And that's reasonable. I do not think that's the case. It's a belief. It's not a fact. It's just a belief of mine. It is one of the areas where you have to it is belief if you believe in aliens or not. It's just a belief, and you cannot prove it. You cannot disprove it currently. You can't disprove it anyway, but you can't prove it. So I would say that that is exactly the point here. That even if there are many supporters, if they don't have the evidence. And it's I forgot somehow to say that now. Like the Fermi paradox thing as well. Like the Fermi paradox is basically, as I said, the question: is there life in the universe? No, we don't detect it, so there might not be. Like, so why do we not detect life in the universe around us? And one of the answers is we're the only living species that is conscious enough to do something, and that's exactly the idea here. Same idea. So third, let's go.
がんに命を預けるのは愚かだ。
So he did not give reasons that were scientific, except for the first one. The second one was, yeah, but all people don't say it is like that, so shouldn't we trust the people? Sometimes you should, sometimes you shouldn't, I guess. And the third thing is, but just doing intuition is foolish, which is stupid as well, from a very scientific perspective. There is this misunderstanding a bit that I've read of very often. It's one of the things I teach as well, that there is the myth that scientists always deduce and argue rationally. They don't. Many big discoveries were in fact led by just hunches. Let's just try something out. Let's just do it. That's how often new things are created. It's not from deducing from a normal system. That obviously happens as well, but it does not happen as often as you think. For example, quantum physics was mainly, let's just try doing it like this. Best example for it. So you just have to get away with the first argument. The others are stupid.
私は命を張る場面でこそ
Yes. Why?
どうするんですか？
構わ
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he's wrong. Yeah, it's true.
不正解は無意味。
That is true, though, and that is also, oh god, this is going to be a long one again, I think. This is also something in science that is often misused, so to speak, or not misused. It's something that is very unfortunate in science. You mostly don't publish negative results. In my area of research, you do, because there are not really negatives. It's just like, does something work or not? And if something doesn't work, you don't need to do it. In education, for example, if you let run students once around the school building every morning, will that make them more attentive in the next lessons? Like, that would be a question, and both yes and no would be interesting answers. You know, it's like, it's a different thing with physics. So if you don't find a particle, you predict it, why publish it? No one cares. If you find that you tried a new method of I don't know, creating a certain alloy and it doesn't work, you don't publish it, and no one will ever know, and people will make the same mistakes again because it's nowhere published. So I really don't like that, but it's only limited resources we have for publishing and stuff. So,
説なんてものを美しいと思わないし。
but what do you find beautiful then?
明日はもう来たくない。
It's funny, is that so?
では明日も頼む
That's so awesome. I like that the old dude, like Eisen, does understand him very well here. I'm very sad that he didn't counter the other arguments. They are easy to counter as well.
と光点の2種類も。
Yeah.
そんなバカな話があるか。
It's wild though. It is a wild idea. Like let's not pretend it's not a wild idea that we are moving. Like, I'm currently moving at, I don't know what is 36,000 meters per second. I think it's 36,000 meters per second where I am at. Perhaps it's less. But it's very, very quick. Yeah, I think it's like 3.6 kilometers per second. I'm currently moving, and it's everything still, because everything's just moving. And you can even transform that away, we say in physics. Like, you can do a coordinate transformation, because there's no system that is really, like, you cannot set a system as absolutely being still. It's also relative. Wherever you are, if you feel still, you can assume you are not moving. You can assume that, and you can do mathematics with that, and it's a valid approach to your situation. Same for, like, if I was on, let's say I was on, let's just do it what they do here. Like, if I'm on Earth and I see the sun move, that's valid. I can just say I'm still. Because saying that I'm still is equally as valid as the sun is still, like, motionless. It just depends on what the other things then do. And you don't even need to say that the sun is still. No, that's stupid what I'm saying. It gets too complicated and doesn't add anything. But that is the idea of relativity. If you're not being accelerated, you can always set your velocity at 0. You can always do that.
ほら、わずかだけど今だってこの空は確かに。
Yes, they are. So
自転一つ取ってもありえない。
why? That's funny though. See, it's just a reference frame. That was a lucky slip.
いきなり山がひっくり。
Oh, revelations. That's funny. That's funny. I mean, he's 12 though, so that might get him.
でもそれは僕が動いたからで。
Yeah. That's funny. That's very nicely done. That's a nice illustration of it.
でもこの当たり前を。
Ooh, see, now we're using logic instead of arguments of the masses or whatever you say.
見える。
Yeah, they will appear to move. That's so awesome. I like that. That's a very nice analogy.
いや、100歩譲って自転
I know,
車。
it's just calculating. That's so funny.
プトレマイオス宇宙を 地動説に応用すると
Yes.
公転半径に一致するまで拡大縮小
Yes.
の軌道と一緒で地球はそれらの誘導円を
And now he's gonna see that they all move elliptical, I think, and then he will see that it's more beautiful because it's more simple.
周りを回ってこんなのふざけた異端
Yeah, so why are you writing it down? Just put like I would just do it into the sand, like draw it into sand. Why would you draw it on paper? They can find that.
捕まる危険もある追い求める理由がない
Yeah, and you don't have any reason to put it down.
宇宙は一つの秩序に統合され
I love the weird swirls though. That's so cool. Burn it, burn it. What are you doing?
そうじゃなきゃ
Dub, 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 dub. So funny.
先に動いてしまったら
There it is, yeah.
鉄を
I love that he puts the T for Earth, like terror. I like that. Very Latin. Oh no, it's beautiful because it's circles. So how many planets did they know here? I mean, Venus and Mercury are here. This is Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So they did not know Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, apparently. That's funny. Also, the sun is far too... Like this is just... I know you all know this. I will just make sure you know this. So this sun is far too small. And this is about... Nah, I do think this is about right. But this is also far too small. Like this should be like giant. The sun should be like this. Like do you see what my mouse is doing? Like this. Like the I know they can't put it on the page, and that's why you do it. But the scale is incredibly wrong here. And the scale between Earth and Mars is what is it about? 0.2 astronomical units, and between Earth and Jupiter it's like 4 astronomical units. So it's like 8 times the or like 4 to 8 times the distance. It should be like, I know he doesn't know it, it doesn't matter here, but whatever. I just want to make sure you know that. So are you gonna burn it now? But what about your argument with jumping up? That's funny, man. So let's see what they do now.
さらに精度が上がっているな
Interesting. I kinda believe you. It's funny.
否定したいのですか
I mean, that's also the thing. Science cannot prove or disprove God. I do think, and I know I'm on the pretty minority there. I do not think you can, and yeah, I've talked a lot about this in other videos, so I will not go too deep into this. If you want me to talk more about stuff like that, you can comment it, but the idea that God is something we can measure with science, like, that's so weird to me. Because for me, godliness and or divinity and physics are two different, completely different areas of existence. I do think there is a lot of value in trying to find divinity and stuff, just for the well-being of the soul. If you don't go into overdrive, which many religions unfortunately do tend to do, which is it's not the fault of the religion necessarily, but of the institution in not enabling, but putting it in place. So in the end, the religions themselves are not that necessarily corrupt, but the people enacting them are, which is the bad thing. Though that is the same thing for all ideologies. I do think if a religion becomes your ideology, and I do think religions are the first ideologies we had, they turn sideways very badly. But I do not think you can reduce that to religion. I do think it is also important to think about what we mean by religion and these things. Do you mean a belief system based on, I don't know, an old scripture? And then people going into communities and acting it out? Or would you, for example, say veganism to nowadays is also a religion? If you say it is not, why not? And if you say that it is, why? like, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but the more extreme vegans I know, they have very, very, what do you say, absolute statements. The same way Christians, for example, or I don't know, other religions as well, do have extremely absolute statements that they just don't, like, in no situation get away from. And that is for me what makes a religion an ideology. But I would also argue the same holds true for other ideological ideas. They are basically, to me, they're like, I don't make that many differences between ideologies, even if they're religious or not. So for me, I know that a religion is something different than, for example, veganism. I just take that, like, and I'm not, I don't do that judgmentally here or something. Like, I've tried veganism as well, and it's like, I have my own reasons for not doing it. But I also know some very dear people who do it. Like, it's fine. But the idea is that it is also something that puts something on top of everything they do in many cases when they go too extreme, I would say. And because where do you stop, for example? What do you not buy? Do you consider insects animals? What if something flies into your mouth? And, I know these are constructed things I'm doing here. I just want to illustrate it. Like, I didn't want to argue here. That's an argument that's, I like. You can be either position, I feel, and I see both positions. And I've made up my mind about it. So, but I have the experience there as well that people also shift from the more traditional religions to more modern ideological ideas that are replacing them. And I don't know. So this idea of the divine God, I would say is something like, I do think it's not something scientific. Because I'm a scientist, and I don't think, like, if I could measure God, that would not be divine enough for a God idea. You know what I mean? That's probably my statement on that. Like, for example, let's make it really stupid. You someday fly up with a plane, you see a hole in the sky, you go through, there is a golden city with clouds, and in its midst is an old man with a beard. And he's judgmentally being like, I'm God. What have you done all your life? I'm like, that's not God. That's just a very intelligent being. I do not feel, for me, and it's very personal, so I don't know if you even care, but for me, the idea of God is, if I could conceptualize it that easily that I could measure it, it's not God anymore. It's not good enough. You know what I mean? So I do have that perspective on this. So trying to fuse science and belief, I do think is very dangerous. And science can become a belief as well. Science can be very ideological. For example, when you hear statements like, that's objectively true, that's often not the case. It's mostly rubbish statements. Or scientists have found out that, so it's the absolute truth. Or we use the scientific method to do something. There is no scientific method. It doesn't exist. There is no scientific method. There are some things we do that are similar, and we agree on the processes behind, for example, collecting evidence, interpreting it, evaluating it, weighing it. We do have community agreement, so to speak, paraphrasing, to evaluate that stuff, but there is no objective truth. Even the numbers you measure are uncertain, for example. And objective truth is a word I would be very careful with. And I think when someone says objective truth, they either are just operating in mathematics with predetermined sets of rules that you have to agree on firsthand, and I would mostly agree on them, by the way. Like, it's not something very contentious, but you have to still keep in mind they're there. Even with mathematics, you have to lay out a set of rules called axioms to make your mathematical arguments work. And in science, it's the same but more difficult. So I can barely construct any scientific statement that is objectively true. I can just think of many scientifically accurate statements that are working so well for describing how the world works that they are as close to truth as we can get currently. That's how I would put that. And it is on the surface perhaps even the same, but the idea behind it is not, because that is the danger in science. I think that's the ideological trap as well, because science can be an ideology as well and be like a pseudo belief as well. And that would be when science turns into a belief-like structure, when you say there is objective truth in science. Or you can also go the other way around and be like, there are no truths at all, and you cannot really, like everything is relative. That's also really, really detrimental. Because if it's funny, every time I say that there is no objective truth in science, people are like, so you're a relativist, you're also a moral relativist? No. I'm not. That's also equally stupid. I would say a pragmatist. And I do think if you want to do science very well, you have to be a pragmatist. If something works really well, it is better than if it doesn't work really well. And that is not something that is absolute as well. Like there are situations I could construct where that's not true anymore. But I can construct them, so it's not an ideology for me yet. So I don't know. That was a long one. Let me know what you think about this. I know this is a contentious topic, and I have heard many, many interesting ideas about it, though, in the comments already. I think I did a 3-hour discussion about these ideas in my Warhammer reactions to The Last Church, which was one of the best written fiction things I've ever seen. So let's go.
神を信じるからやるのだ。
Yeah.
人は皆
Yes.
貪欲で汚れていて
Yeah.
美しいという。
I'm gonna let him talk. I'm sorry. I need to say so much, but yeah.
神が作ったこの
Yeah.
何よりも美しい。
I like the way he uses beauty. Like, this Hubert character is incredibly well written. I really love that. There's a lot of nuance to what he is saying here. One of the core ideas is, and I will just talk about it because my book also plays in the afterlife. And one, like the afterlife in my book consists of 2 realms where people act. So there are 2 main storylines that will get closer, obviously, when the story progresses. So in the end, it will be one. Spoilers, perhaps. But so it's also the afterlife. There are 2 realms in my story, and I will just use it as an illustration. One is very peaceful, beautiful, this paradise-like world, and one is a ruinous hellscape where there are monsters trying to hunt you down. And on the first glance, you might be like, there's heaven and hell. It's not inspired by that, though. It is just different feelings you can be in the world. That's why I wrote them like that. And I do think those are though the archetypical ideas of the afterlife. Either it's perfect beauty because we deserve it in the end, or it is because we suffered so much here, or it is perfectly the absolute hell because we were not good and we can never be good, and whatever we do, we will never be good. And that's why hell exists, perhaps, as a psychological idea. I do think heaven and hell are very interesting psychological constructs, because heaven and hell are basically the story equivalents of the most extreme ideas of good and evil we can conceive, and like worlds and societies, perhaps even of good and evil, we can conceive. And in my book, for example, I will deconstruct it a lot, because in the good, peaceful world, obviously there's gonna be some other stuff happening that's perhaps corrupting it. And in the bad world, there are always things like people holding together more and them caring more for each other and past, because they know how horrid things are. So these things are very nuanced in the end if you would really play them out. So these heaven and hell ideas are not things you could live in. It is just ideas to strive for or against. I think that's how I see them. And the idea that the afterlife is pure and better is, you might take that literally, and as a scientist you would be then like, yeah, you can't prove or disprove the afterlife currently. Perhaps we never will, probably not. Perhaps we will, I don't know. But that doesn't even matter. It's more like, if you know what you think paradise is, you know what you want the world to be, and you can try to shape it into that. You know, I do think that's why it exists psychologically and why it developed. And hell is like how you don't want the world to be, and how you and what you fight against. Or if you're an evil person, even, it's the other way around. The paradise is what you don't want people to have, and hell is what you want to make on earth. So it also works both ways. So I do think that's what the afterlife idea is in part as well. And I've also heard Christians, because I did grow up very Christian, and I would say I do still subscribe to several Christian ideas. And I talk to older Christians a lot, and they were always like, I mean, in the end, there is God's love. And I do think God's love is also like this ultimate hope in the hearts of people. And God's love as a statement might be just trying to grasp that there's always a drive for hope in us, in a way. And I know that's really reaching again from my part. So, but he's doing it here, and that's why I did talk so much about it. He's doing a bit more of a educated, perhaps, thing, or a bit more thought through thing. He's like, no, the world is already beautiful, because these ideas of heaven, I will see what he says, but I would say like, yes, because in this world, these idea of heavens can be fed. So like, in that you can create these ideas of heaven and earth from all experiences in this world. Otherwise, you couldn't even define them or have no idea about them.
それを知るのに盲信も金銭
Yeah.
私のこの小さな当該のよう理解してみせる
That's cool, man.
禅を読むのだ
That's also interesting. Again, I would argue these are two different things they are pursuing here, and both are, I think, valid. I always took religion as trying to grasp how we should act in the world, and society is trying to figure that out and writing down rules, some shit, some not, and the best rules survive, about like an evolutionary idea. And that's why I'm a pragmatist, because I think that's a good approach. Like, try it out. If something doesn't work, write it down as a bad story. If something works well, write it down as a good story, and then you have a collection of stories that somehow try to figure out what to do in what situation, and what the possibilities and what the dangers are, and what you could get and what you could lose, you know? And I do think that's basically what religions do in part. And I do also think from a psychological perspective, like, these actions are the same thing, just on a different level of modality. So I do think that's religion and science is nature, observing patterns in nature and trying to make them as objective as they can be, as I said. So those are different things. But if you say God is in nature, you would say like there is also basically the ultimate truth in nature and how it works, and that would basically be the world formula nowadays. So
怖くはないのですか?
Probably, yeah.
だが
You have to battle fear, though.
その本質を書く
Yeah. I would also agree with that. That's so funny, yeah. I do think that's the thing. Without pain, you don't know what goodness is. I've often thought about a world without pain. In my story, it is going like this a bit, because there is this paradise world and everyone's basically a zombie there. Everyone's doing what they want, like basically they live in Stone Age villages, planting wheat, working the fields, and yes, it is hard, but they're satisfied because they are so content with what they do, with the little things, and they do it over and over for eternity, and they are so happy, but they're all dull, because some people are having these sparks of of passion and idea, and the people in the good realm did lose that. And these few people, they see that there could be more than just working the field, perhaps exploring the forest or stuff like that, and they see these other people basically as zombies, but as docile, very like as docile creatures. And I do think that's exactly the thing. If you don't have terror or something to strive for, and everyday life can be that a bit, but that's dangerous. We know that it kills you as well in psychology if you don't have meanings in your life. And it can be the work, but there's always this scientific drive in people and of trying to figure out more. And I do think otherwise you turn into that, and it might not be bad. Like, I'm not saying it's bad that if you would go to work every day, work, be content, go home, sleep, and, perhaps in the evening, sit down with your friends. But even that in the beginning, at least of that story I wrote, is not the case, because you just greet each other and you're on your own, because that's fine. And I do think, though, it is a valid dream someone can have. And first, for some people, that's beautiful and enough. But I never thought that. And I always think that without danger and destruction and pain and fear, you cannot appreciate the good things really and really savor them and not hope for better times again and not look back on better times and appreciate them. I do think there always has to be both in the world.
観測は今日で終わりだ。
Is he gonna gaslight him into following him?
一人で続ける方法を見つ。
Ha ha.
では僕は明日
He's setting him up, I feel.
さあな、君の自
Yeah, he sets him up here. I love that.
天文をやれ。
That's cool, yeah.
まあ、これは提案だ。
You know why I also love this suggestion is because the church, and let's not assume the church is all evil here, which I know it has been depicted a bit like that before, like this authoritarian political body, and I do think that's reasonable in many cases to say for this time. But let's say they just have one way of seeing the world and seeing belief, and astronomy is another way of seeing the world and seeing belief. So I do think having multiple perspectives on the world already is good, because if you just have one, it's mostly turning into an ideology down the line because you don't have anything to counter your ideas. It's an echo chamber. Yeah.
では、今までありがとう。
Man, I love Eisen's voice actor so much. So, Raphael, what are you gonna do now? Going home and be like, oh, fuck, now what am I gonna do?
だったんだ。天文をやれって。
Yeah, why not? What's that? I do think he's a monk. What are they doing? Oh, the heretic. I really like him. I know he's probably really terrible, but I really can't wait to dig into his character. They probably found the notes because he was too dumb to burn them, so. I love Novak's voice actor. Oh, I see.
フベルトさんは立派に構成して。
I love that he's got blood here. Oh my god, don't lie to this dude. I love how he's so laid back. I bet he gets people on the blind side or whatever you say. He blindsides people a lot with that. It's so awesome. Oh, he knows. He's so dumb. I called that basically, but he's so fucking dumb. Why didn't he burn it? The candle was there, mate. I mean, he's 12. I will let it slide. What are you gonna do now, mate? That's good. I love his eye. Man, it's so menacing. Oh, is he gonna sacrifice himself here for him? Oh no, fuck off. It's so awesome, man.
いやいや、そうでしたか。
Does he know though, Novak?
その発言があなたをどこへ向かわせる？
That's so awesome, but also so sad, man.
私はやり残したことがあるから戻る。
You know why he also might do it? I know he does it like for the obvious reasons, but he might also do it because he's old and he's getting blind. And he needs this idea to live in the future. So who better to entrust it to than a child? I know that's also burdening the child with a lot of things in these times. But if he thinks this idea is so valuable that he's willing to die for it, he would also make sure that at least it survives. So he probably knows he will be caught down the line. And he might have set all of this up to get Rafael to pursue him here. That's so sad, man.
ですか。
もちろんは
That's so funny, man.
そちらこそ冷静になっていた。
Why though?
子供に私の研究が手伝
That is funny though.
いやー、それもそうです。
But it's the child's writing.
では、フベルトを連行しろ。
That's like he just would need to check the handwriting though.
そんな急に
Is he gonna say something in the end?
君に私に来たんだ。
Oh, what is that? Is that a button?
じゃあな。
Farewell. What the fuck, man? That's so dark. I like it though.
やり残したことは
He already did, I think.
たった今やったよ。
Yeah, I knew that. That's awesome, man. He knows he's done anyway. He's old, frail, scarred.
さんは焼かれて死んだ
Yeah, I got that, man. It's so sucky. That's some really heavy stuff. I like that he basically knew he would get done in anyway, I think. Man, that's dark. That's so dark. I hope he will feel really guilty and stuff, like, or at least that he understands that.
いえ僕は
Yeah, I mean, he is pretty calculated. I don't know if he's a psychopath, he probably isn't, but he's very emotionally distanced in many scenes and the way he talks as well. So I guess we wouldn't see that much of an effect on the surface, but I think it's more gonna be his thoughts that will change, so yeah.
ことって三つ星
3 stars, Belt of the Orion. Yeah.
け黒く
Alinam in the center is black. Oh, yeah, he's hit something there. I get it. I got it whilst he said that. I got that. Also, I do think one of the stars in Orion's belt is a black hole, but I'm not sure anymore. I thought that for a long time, but then someone said something different. I thought it was Sagittarius was in Orion's belt, but I don't think that's true, so it would have been fun if it was the black hole that was painted black, but I don't think it's the black hole, so yeah. I'm just rambling here, I'm sorry. Just thinking to myself. So what are you gonna find? The Sith holocron? I'm sorry, that was a mean dig.
ラムを示す山まで来てみたものの
Yeah, I do think Hubert set this up a lot. I mean, that's pretty obvious. That's good that it was. I mean, you can probably gauge the mountaintop, like the place of it, very easily. I hope no one followed you, mate. Let's go.
この手紙を読んでいるあなた
Uh,
あなたが誰だか知らない。
this is the big wagon or whatever it's called in English. Yeah.
信用のおけるものにネックレスを託すこと。
Oh, that's so sweet, man.
私のやり残したことを頼みたい。
Yeah, it's so sad, man. But it's probably the best move he did here.
地動説に接近した自信がある。
So it is a theory, a hypothesis that's spread around, I think. So,
不確定要素が多すぎる。
I mean, yeah.
本当に神の領域なのだろう。
I don't think it's easy to prove it is like there, but nowadays you can send probes and measure it, but
は未練がましく燃やす勇気を持
okay.
人間に焼却されることを望んだ。
So he will read it, memorize it, and then burn it. That is awesome. He can memorize that probably, because he was good at memorizing the bullshit he was spouting before.
依頼報酬は箱に同封した。
What's the reward?
では、任せ。
I like that setup for the story, so he burned it and read it.
こんな手紙を残したのも理解できる。
No.
何より不確かだ。
Yeah, you need more proof.
ただ、こんなの燃やすしかない。
But he read them, I guess. Like otherwise, that would not make sense. The question is, even if he didn't read them, he doesn't need to read them probably because he's not doing intuition, he's doing reasoning. And he also did deduce his model and not do it with his feeling it out. He doesn't do that. Though some mathematicians do that. I know them, like some of them. But yeah. I don't think it's really clear if he read it or not, but I don't even think it matters. Also, it's like fire of knowledge. I like that as well. Why are you stamping it out? Okay, but you burned it. Like, did you save something? I don't know. Probably not. So, I like the fire symbolism as well. Like, fire can be passion and the spark of knowledge as well and ingenuity. So it's really well done as a symbolism. So, religion, theology. Yeah.
お別れの挨拶を。
はい。
I'm gonna study astronomy. That would be so funny.
今までお世話になりました。
No.
みんなに神のご加護があらんことを祈って。
The thing is, though, that really, like, he can go to university from being an orphan. Like, that's so wild. I would say it's because I'm not a historian, I don't know the details, but I feel like that's like tropey. For example, I don't care. It's really cool as a story, but I don't think that would have been really possible. I feel it's. But if someone can confirm or deny that, please do it in the comments.
僕は天文を学びます。
That's so funny. Why would you do that openly, though? Wouldn't it be better not to do that openly? Let's see if we get a time skip or something.
軽率で無力で。
Yeah, I do think we got that from your actions already. Going to move there. That's such a better statement, man. So cool. But he could just switch subject. Isn't that really suspicious? Yeah, see him. He would probably be like, this is all fishy.
道端で子供が泣いてちゃ無視で。
He is so interesting. I don't know, like, we need more time with him because he's really interesting because he's trying to do, like, I do think God's word would probably be like help the child, so he's trying to do God's word. I feel he's one of these characters that wants to do God's word but also is very lazy and laid back, so let's see where he goes.
野爆さん、そろそろ。
So Noah, what are you gonna do now? Torture someone? Probably. Yep, I knew.
もうご無礼をお許しください。
Probably the father of the boy you just saved as well.
するつもりですか。私には子供。
Yeah, he just saved the child's ball.
実は私にも娘が
Interesting.
になってこれが可愛くて仕方ない。
Man, I hate his laid back way of being.
ああ、これ娘からの手が
Oh my god.
不安を
Oh my god.
私の生きる理由で
Is he threatening his son? Oh, that is so dark, man. Holy fuck.
出すような研究は見過ごせない。
Okay, let's go. What was his research?
友人の日々の進行や
No.
なんだってする。
Okay, so he's basically, I do think he's probably telling the truth. So he's trying to, because he thinks the faith keeps them alive pretty well and gives him a job. So, and he can protect his family and friends. So he's gonna do it. It's just his job. But what did he do to that dude? Oh, fuck me. So, what did he do?
じゃあ
Oh, God. I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm such an asshole. That was so mean. Oh, it was so dark. So what did he do? Like, let out his blood through his throat or something? So, we've got a new orphan. Brilliant.
審問官は独身のはずじゃ。
Ooh, interesting.
出家せず在俗でやってる。
He's a layperson. He's just so good at what he does. That's funny.
司教様に腕を買われて
Yeah, because he gets shit done, apparently. Yeah. Yeah. That fits.
考えられない。
That's interesting that he's saying this. How could those bloody hands do the Lord's work? Because if you, like the Christian God in most people, especially if you are reformed, I think is very kind and benevolent. But in the Old Testament, he's like really ruthless. Really ruthless. So, you know, the smiting stuff, I guess that was in there. But also it is this political thing again. Because if you go by the more modern interpretations of the Bible, which I don't even know they had at these times, you wouldn't say that God is like this vengeful guy who wants to bloody everything. But if you had the political power, you still could use the text to depict him as that in that way. Because that's the thing as well. It's like reading data in science. Like in science, you have numbers and you interpret them in certain margins, within certain margins. And it's the same with religious text. You have words and you interpret the words in certain margins, but because it's a text and not a formula, the margins are so much bigger than with the formulas, so you can interpret so much more, and in the end you have a lot more leeway to misinterpret as well, if you want, or even if you just get unlucky. You know what I mean?
司教様にも訳があるんだろう。
Yeah, I'm sure he just gets shit done by this point. He just gets shit done currently.
冗談なんだ。だどころか、よりにもよって天文を学ぶなんて。
I mean, to be fair, I do think the church had several astronomers employed. They did. Because, as I said, from what I know, and I know more than nothing on this because I did, in fact, do look into this like 6 years ago or something. For a thesis I did supervise. And it seems to be really that the church had astronomers. Some were in detention or whatever you say, but they still did research for them because they were not like, we don't want progress. Like the church wasn't against progress. They just wanted to keep their political power, and it was easiest by painting them as the overlords of knowledge, so to speak, and of the truth. The objective truth, obviously. I mean, because obviously they had objective truth there as well. They just like framed it like, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? It's a similar idea, like the objective truth that people nowadays attribute to science. Same thing the church would have probably said in these times, we have the objective truth. And the same way you laugh, by the way, the church saying we have the objective truth because we know about God, the scientists nowadays do have the objective truth. It's almost the same thing. You can make more points and arguments for the scientists having it nowadays. I know that, but the underlying idea is the same. So I don't know though why. Like you need good astronomers. So I don't think it's that stupid to take some clever people to do astronomy. You just have to be sure to, behind closed doors, tell them what they are allowed to spread outside. And if they are people in the faith, in the church, they will also comply. So these cases where people go against the church and go onto the public square and declare that God is dead or whatever, I'm like making stuff up here, but just to illustrate it, they were very rare, and obviously they were hunted down and burned. And they were always zealots, of course, as well. Like if there was a zealot priest, he wouldn't care, and he would legitimately think they are blaspheming. But it was a lot more nuanced than just church evil wants to kill people. Like, I do think that's one of the things that's often done nowadays in media, that these things are tropified too much, that the church is just the evil thing, for example. Or that, I don't know, in War X, side A was beautiful and benevolent and great, and side B was terrible. And things are a lot more nuanced. I do think history gets stuff basically like roughly right, obviously, but in the end, history is written by the victors. And history is also written through transporting stories that evolve and that tend to get more tropey, and I don't mean that necessarily negatively, but they get more tropey to make them more interesting to people to hear. For example, like there is a very funny idea though, but it's not the place to tell it. I don't know, but like that's something we have to keep in mind as well. So I don't know. I'm not sure, because they are allowed to study astronomy at university. It's not like closed. The university doesn't have a branch about it that's forbidden. You know what I mean? So
発言を撤回しない
yes.
許可書にサインしないぞ。
What's the problem?
ここ最近の僕
Can't he just go into theology and also visit astronomy? Like, where's the problem? Because apparently you don't have to pay, I think. I'm not sure.
将来が極めて危うくなっ
Just pretend to study theology. Who gives a shit?
たのは至難の技だろう。
So what are you gonna do?
了解です。宣言します。
Yeah, like, obviously you do that. That's so funny.
普通に嘘をついた。
Yeah, why not lie? That's the problem. Oh, my son. That's funny, though. I love his lying service persona, Sparkles. I don't think that's so bad, though. I don't think lying here is bad. Because I would argue this is a good lie. Because you can still also study theology, like, and you just do more work if you're interested.
はい。僕が
You know, I'm gonna be really, like, I don't know, some might not disagree with this statement. It's like studying or working. Like, you don't work in what you love most of the time. I, fortunately, do. Like, I'm very lucky, but I know many people that hate going to work every day because it's stressful and not really what they want to do, and they feel they waste their lives a bit with it and stuff. So, yeah, and then you have a hobby. Like, I see it like that. Like, if you, like, just study what you have to because it's your work, and it's not pleasant, perhaps, and then, like, do your hobby astronomy on the side. You know? That's how I see it. I don't know if it works, but
言える。嘘ほど便利なものは
that's funny, yeah.
トラブルは回避するのだ。
Are you sure about that, mate? Probably not. Narrator, it didn't.
後で天文に編入できる。
Yeah, or you just visit those classes. Who will stop you?
伝統だ。
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like, it's probably that they have to be in a list or something.
3、40年はかかるだろう。
Wow, only 30 to 40 years? Okay.
地道に、確実に。
So we've got our shonen goal of proving that heliocentricity is correct. That's cool.
こんなに資料があるんだろ
That is a good idea. I like that his father might be an astronomer as well, secretly. Just wants to protect his son because he knows where it can lead and all that stuff. Because we can't forget that he did save Hubert and that he let him take Hubert from that prison or whatever. He did let him Hubert get taken from there. So I don't know if his father, and I like that he calls him his father because he raised him. That's like the fatherly role. He fulfilled that. So he didn't call him only son because of the like religious aspect, but also because he sees him as a son. That's awesome. Really like that. That I didn't need to pause. Okay, so we did have a long reaction again. I don't know how long all of these will be. I hope you still enjoyed it. Also, if you did like the idea of my web novel when I talked about it, go and read it. It's releasing almost bi-daily. Yeah, I really like this show. I feel that in this show, I do talk a lot about what I think. And that does not mean I talk about what is true and that I don't know some stuff. So most of the stuff about religion, for example, I talk to you about is more my personal idea. And if you've got counters or something, like obviously put them in the comments. Like you can always voice contrary opinions here on this channel. I am very interested in that. Just don't be a douche about it. I've had many cool debates about religion already in the comments. I just don't. I just had the experience that I see it very differently from many people. So that's why, you know. But I like the science. I like that it addresses the science versus religion question, which is not a versus question in my mind. I think doing science versus religion as a versus question is defeating the purpose of those ideas. One is another domain as the other, you know? And if you intersect them, you will get into very, very bad places most of the time, I felt. And I've experienced it not directly, but seen it in several reports from history. So I really like the way this show makes me think. I might think stupid stuff, so tell me if I do, but I really do like it. And if there is stuff you want me to talk more about, obviously tell that to me in the comments as well. Because sometimes I feel like a tangent doesn't work and then I stop it. Not often, but sometimes it's really out of place, so I will not do it. But if there's something you also want to know from me, I can perhaps answer some stuff after the next reaction, you know, so I don't know. So without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out my web novel. That would be a great help. I mean, it's for free, and I do think it's a good story. So you get a good story for free. Why not check it out? I don't know. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's see what we have next time, and I can't wait to watch the next one. So until then, see you around and take care of yourself. Bye.